welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 540 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. Here at the Unpopular Podcast, not really asked to agree with me and asked you to hear me out. Let me first start this episode by apologizing for not having an episode on Wednesday. A lot of personal things happened, and I just was not able to get the episode out. So I apologize, and we're back. And with me being back, you know, you're usually supposed to start an episode off, especially episode, to a podcast or long-form content. You're supposed to start the episode off with the most exciting, most eye-popping, most interesting thing. And usually I try to do that. Obviously, I'm going to talk about all the games that happen on Thursday and Sunday and Monday. I'm going to talk about the World Series. I'm going to talk about the NBA season starting. But I wanted to start this episode off with releasing frustration. I don't feel like this episode would be fluent if I just had this pent up anger that I didn't release at the top of the show. Now, if you don't want to hear about my anger, there's obviously, what's the thing called? The timestamps that you can go to. It's in the description. It take you anywhere you need to go. Any topic, timestamps down below. I wanted to start this episode off with releasing some frustration. And that frustration is geared solely towards the Washington Commanders. To my credit, before the season started, I emphasized to all the Commanders fans, all the people that sat through and enjoyed last season with JD5 and the new ownership and the new coaching staff and how the Washington Commanders that nobody, not even the fan base, really had expectations for, made it all the way to the NFC Championship. And I said, don't expect that to happen again, at least this year. Don't expect this year to go similar to last year. They're just two completely different seasons. On top of that, the schedule is going to get harder because we were a second place team in the NFC. It's just going to be difficult. So whatever you do, do not hang your expectation on a repeat of last year. And up to this point, not only have I been drastically right about that, I sort of undershot how difficult this season was going to be. I sort of undershot how difficult the Washington Commanders season was going to be. You know what's interesting about this? I'm recording this on a Tuesday afternoon/evening, so at this point, the diagnosis of what JD5 is happening with his hamstring, we don't know yet. But the biggest issue with the Washington Commanders is not the injuries. JD5 being hurt, Terry McLaurin being hurt, Noah Brown being hurt, that's Deebo Samuels being hurt. That's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is what I said was going to be the biggest issue coming into the season, and that was last year, our biggest issue was the defense. The fact that any team felt that they could run on the Washington Commanders and they could pass on the Washington Commanders. While we had a decent pass rush, it wasn't good enough to stop the run, nor was it good enough to protect the back end of our defense. And up to 7 weeks, that has been the glaring issue this season. One of the biggest reasons why I said don't expect a repeat of last year with the Washington Commanders is because The issues that plagued the team last year, I did not feel we did a good enough job at addressing. Our biggest issue last year is we couldn't stop the run. Now, I know Saquon Barkley is a different breed, but did you see what Saquon Barkley did to us at the NFC Championship? Did you see what Saquon Barkley did to us every time we played the Eagles? Did you see what any team did rushing the ball on the Commanders? And I said, bro, I don't feel we did enough. Yeah, we went out and got Von Miller. But that's not enough. Bobby Wagner's cool. Yeah, he's a good linebacker, but that's not enough. And you can beat. I think this team is good enough to beat bottom-feeding teams. I think this team is good enough to beat the Panthers. This team is good enough to beat the Miami Dolphins. This team is good enough to beat those teams, but those aren't the teams that we're playing. Right now, Washington Commanders is 3-4. Our 3 wins is the Giants, Raiders, and Chargers. Our 4 losses is the Packers, Super Bowl caliber team, Cowboys, divisional rival, Falcons, we're going to talk about them a little bit later, and the Bears by 1 point. Why did I feel like I had to say that? Because that was the stretch that you had to win. Because now, listen to our next 6 games. At Kansas City, going against the Seahawks, going against the Lions, the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Vikings. You know what? You know what all of them have in common? Outside of maybe the Chiefs, they have a really good running game. Even though the Dolphins suck, they still have Devon Achane. I talked about it. I talked about complacency. And I also talked about don't let the fact that you have JD5 cloud you from thinking you don't have to do anything. That's not the case. This team is not good enough to just rest on your laurels. This team is not good enough to just say, hey, we got JD5. We're good enough to beat anybody. That's not true. And we're seeing that this season. I think I wanted to start this episode talking about Washington because I think the season's over. I think as a Washington Commanders fan, I think it's going to be very tough to imagine finishing these next 3 games with the Chiefs, Seahawks, and Lions. It's almost unrealistic to think that we're gonna finish that 3-game stretch out with a positive record. In all actuality, because we don't know how long JD5 is going to be out, if he is going to be out, we could lose all those games. So you're staring, by the time you get to, I believe it was the Dolphins, you could be staring at 3-7. Unlike previous regimes and tenures, I don't feel like the ceiling is falling in the sense of I don't think that the people that's in charge of building a team or whatever, I don't think that they're incompetent. And I think that they see the issue. Maybe they just didn't address it, because you still had to pay Terry McLaurin, which all I'm saying is this. This is, I guess, as unfortunate as it is, because this is the biggest I told you so. Because we're 7 weeks in, and it does feel like the season is over. let me address Terry McLaurin for a second, because I don't know who said it, but there's rhetoric and there's a conversation on social media centering around Terry McLaurin, and I think the nucleus of that conversation is Terry McLaurin has to win the fans back over. And obviously you had a lot of people on one side saying that they agreed. You had people on the other side saying that they didn't. And you guys know me. I'm in the middle. Do I feel like Terry McLaurin should have got paid what he got paid? Yes. I think what he meant to the city, what he meant to the team, how he was able to maintain a level of greatness throughout a topsy-turvy, tenured. I believe he should have got paid what they paid him. But on the other hand, I do agree with what a lot of the people were saying. It's like, you held out or held in majority of the season or off season just to play like one game and get hurt. So not only did you pretty much weren't there for the off season trying to do a contract extension, most of the money that the team could have used to fix that defense went to Terry McLaurin. Again, I'm not saying that's on him. Who's going to say no to whatever they're offering to pay you? But most of the team that could, the defense could have went to them, but it went to Terry McLaurin just for you to only play one game. Yeah, or one. Yeah, I understand why there's a little bit of frustration there. But hey. Oh, let me get to Marshawn Lattimore. And this is the last thing I'm going to say, at least on Washington's front, before I move on. I was extremely excited when I saw that we obtained Marshawn Lattimore. I thought to myself, we have one of the best corners in the game. While yes, he had a history of injuries and it kind of felt like he was on the decline, I was thinking maybe that was just where he was. Maybe that was just, he just needed a new scenery from New Orleans. Every single time I watch Marshawn Lattimore, or better yet, every single time Marshawn Lattimore is on my screen, he's doing one of three things. He is jumping at a tackle, or he's jumping to tackle somebody that already caught the ball and has multiple yards. He is getting burnt on a play, or he's doing something illegal and getting a penalty for it, whether that's holding, whether that's did you know? So, let's talk about this game a little bit. The Cowboys, I'm 14 minutes in. The Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders 44-22. Not even close, right? Did you know that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens averaged over 20 yards a catch? That means every single time they caught the ball, on average, they got 20 yards. And I, as somebody that thought when you got him, Marshawn Lattimore was a number one defender, was a number one corner, they were taking turns going at Marshawn Lattimore. Like, anytime they saw Marshawn Lattimore on a wide receiver, you best believe the ball was going to that wide receiver. Yeah. It just feels like it's over because not even because of the injuries, it's just because of the defense, man. The same defense that was our Achilles heel last year is the same thing that's our Achilles heel this year. Don't get me wrong. Dallas is a good team. Back up. Dallas is a good offense. CeeDee Lamb, not CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott, I said, was an MVP candidate. Looked all of that. CeeDee Lamb comes back, 5 catches for 110 yards. Javonte Williams, again, Washington in their run defense, 19 carries for 116 yards. I want to know collectively how many yards Javonte Williams ran this entire season compared to what he did against the Washington Commanders. But his longest rush was 33. I'm not upset because I don't it's far-fetched to think this team is making it to the NFC Championship, let alone even the playoffs at this part. I'm upset because everything that I said was going to happen, that obviously you wish doesn't happen, did. I said, I'm not liking what the defense is looking like. Yeah. George, man. And you know what was even worse about this game? Imagine going to a sports bar. Washington out, got my J5 jersey, got my Washington hat. And a sea of Cowboys, Eagles, and Giants fans. And I'm talking big because I feel like I'm outnumbered. I think there was about maybe 3 or 4 Commanders fans, and then just the rest was, And I'm thinking to myself, I got to represent. And it didn't look bad. I think we took the lead. It was like 8-7 or something like that. That didn't last long. But congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys for beating the Washington Commanders 44-22. I said that I was surrounded by Dallas fans, Philly fans, and Giant fans. Now, I had a tough time in there watching my Commanders play. I can't imagine how it felt being a Giants fan watching the Denver Broncos put up 33 points in the fourth quarter to beat the Giants 33-32. You know what? I'm trying to encapsulate how I feel about the Giants. And trust me, I have no I know that they're a divisional rival or whatever, but I have no bias in this at all right now. It must be difficult. It's like I don't think, at least up until the fourth quarter, I don't think the Giants could have played worse. I don't think they could have felt better than they felt about this team. They were blowing out the Broncos. Jackson Dart was playing well. He finished the game with 283 yards, 3 touchdowns. Scatterboo was doing what Scatterboo does, running people over and just looking like a mad canine. The defense looked ferocious. The front four that we said was going to carry them carried them from Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon Thibodeau. All the positives that you had about your team going into the season was on Front Street in this game until the fourth quarter. And then all the issues, all the problems that you would have about your team was on full display in that fourth quarter. Mind you, you see I didn't mention that Jackson Dart threw an interception. I believe that was in the fourth quarter. He was also sacked 4 times. Most of those sacks were in the fourth quarter. And mind you, I didn't say that the field or their kicker, the Giants kicker, missed 2 extra points. Just so happened to lose by 1. All of that is not why they lost this game, though. Let me also continue to paint this picture before I move forward. I know that the Denver Broncos are now 5-2. They are the most fraudulent 5-2 I think I've seen in a while. Because their offense has been terrible. Up until that fourth quarter, Bo Nix was playing horrible. How many times have we said that this year? Up until X point, Bo Nix was awful. This offense was J.K. Dobbins, 14 carries for 81 yards. Like, it wasn't this offense wasn't good. The defense was carrying it until that fourth quarter. And even in that, they were getting shut out until that fourth quarter. But a lot of people are going to blame the kicker. Missing 2 extra points and they lost by 2, which, don't get me wrong, you got to make your kick, especially extra points. Those are more than gimmies. But I don't agree. One word that you're hearing a lot in a negative connotation when we talk about the NFL is conservative. Whoa, not like that. not like that. Not like that. Let me explain. The last thing you want to be is conservative. And what I'm saying by that is feeling like you have the game locked up. So you run plays that you don't expect to get. You're just a clock running at this point. You're doing things just to run the clock, just to beat the clock. While that may work at times, in the NFL, you're playing with fire. No matter how far ahead in the game you are. That is what lost the Giants that game. The entire game up until the fourth quarter, the first 3 quarters, they were bringing pressure. They were aggressive. They were getting to Bo Nix. I know Bo Nix was only sacked twice, but that doesn't show how many times he was pressured. They were being aggressive. But then that fourth quarter hit. And they stopped sending the blitz. They stopped sending for they just played prevent defense the entire time. Well, as much as Bo Nix has been struggling, he can carve up a zone, which is essentially kind of what prevent defense is. He can carve up a zone. Any quarterback can really carve up a zone. And it just felt like the Giants never went back to the defense that got them the got them there in the fourth. It's again, ultimate team sport, man. Everyone has to do their job from top to bottom. Two people, the coaching staff and the kicker, didn't do their job, and now a game that could, the Giants retook the lead with like 30 seconds left. Jackson Dart going crazy. He ran it in for a touchdown. Like, it looked like they squandered away the lead just to get it right back with 30 seconds left. And you know what I said to myself in that bar? Again, bias out of it. I said, and homie missed the kick. I said, yo, that's a lot of time. 30 seconds is a lot of time. Now, I know that for the first three quarters, Bo Nix was playing like pure ass, but that's a lot of time. All they have to do is get in the field goal. Oh, first catch went for 22 yards. Oh, second catch went for 25 yards. Yep, they're in field goal range. Game's over. That's tough. That's tough. If you don't win those games, I don't know. I don't know how. Like, I'm not saying you're not going to win a game, but like, how do you lose? How do you play yourself out of a game like that? How does the defense that was dominant throughout the entire game, didn't have any injuries, might I add, at least in the game, how does that defense give up 33 points in the fourth quarter? I'll tell you how. You change the defensive scheme. You just played prevent the entire time because you're just waiting for the clock to run, not realizing that, this team still thinks that they have a shot to win because you're not stopping them. They're scoring. Yeah. Congratulations to the Denver Broncos for beating the Giants 33-32. I feel like I'm getting all the negative out at the top of the show. I don't know how that is for ratings or whatever, but it's time. It's time. It's time. The Carolina Panthers beat the New York Jets 13-6. Mind you, the Jets are now currently the only team that still does not have a win on the season. Neither one of these starting quarterbacks, Bryce Young and Justin Fields, finished the game. But they were both benched by two completely different reasons. Bryce Young got hurt. Had a high ankle sprain. Looks like they said he's going to possibly miss a couple weeks. Who knows? But he got hurt. Justin Fields went into halftime, was 6 for 12 at halftime. That means two quarters. 6 for 12 for 46 yards. He got benched at halftime. And I think it's over. I'm not saying that his career is over. I'm not saying that his career should be over. But it's over thinking that Justin Fields can ever be a competent starting quarterback in the NFL. He's had too many shots and failed at those shots. Now, I was thinking about it while I was watching the game and while I was compiling this episode and getting the information. All of my critiques and issues about the Chicago Bears when Justin Fields was there was valid. I do think that he got a unfair shake he was in a unwinnable situation in Chicago. But even though it was a small part, Justin Fields had a part to play in all that. Justin Fields had a part to play in his benching immediately when Russell Wilson got healthy for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he played the biggest part of getting benched at halftime. Mind you, this is the same team that just a week ago went all the way to Dublin or London just to put up 82 total yards. Going into halftime, he had half of that. He had 46 yards. Here's my thing. The more that I'm watching it, the less that I think that Aaron Glenn is going to be here as the head coach of the Jets next year. I don't think he should be fired because I will say it like this, actually. Whoever thought that Justin Fields, because mind you, Justin Fields was one of the first quarterbacks. Once the free agency hit, he was one of the first quarterbacks off the board, meaning the Jets could have went and tried to go get someone like Sam Darnold. They could have went to try to get someone like Geno Smith. Maybe they dodged a bullet with Geno Smith, but there's a bunch of people they could have got. Justin Fields, I believe, was one of the first. They could have went and got Russell Wilson. They could have went and got Jameis Winston. There's a lot of people they could have got. And they decided, you know what? We're going to go get that quarterback from Pittsburgh that got benched, but was 4-2 when he got benched. Even though a lot of their games, they were kicking a bunch of field goals. We're going to go get that guy and pay him top dollar. If Aaron Glenn was in charge of that, he definitely should go. But I said all that to say, man, this is one of those games where the defense did what they were supposed to do. Bryce Young only threw for 138 yards. Rico Dowdles only rushed for 79 yards. The defense played well. As much crap as I was giving them, Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, they played well. It was the offense that could not keep up because of their starting quarterback. He got benched. Tyrod Taylor was put in a bad situation. You're down. The running game wasn't doing much. The defense knew you had to throw, so he didn't. I know he threw 2 interceptions, but again, he passed on damn near every play. It's over with for Justin Fields, man. At some point, you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, what part did I play in essentially my career being here? And it was interesting because I was trying to see why was I just hella wrong? Because this is the same Justin Fields that was, I think, a game away from the national championship. But then I forgot. Oh, this is the guy that he couldn't beat Jake Fromm. This is the guy that had a lot of issues reading defenses in college. Why would I think that he'd be 10 times better in the league? In fact, Justin Fields' biggest issues is I don't think he processes information well. And a lot of people are saying that. I don't think he processes what he sees from the defense pretty well. And I think when he panics, like when some people panic, they just throw the ball away. That's their first. Like Carson Wentz, we're going to talk about him in a second. He just throws the ball away. He just launches the ball when he panics. Justin Fields, he just holds the ball, which is why you see all the sacks that he got. In a 2-week span, he's been sacked 12 times. So, yeah, man, I think it's over for. And now I'm sitting here thinking about it. Let's go on a journey, right? Let's predict the first Jets win. I would say it would be the Bengals next week or this week, but the way that Joe Flacco's playing, I don't know about that. I would say the Browns, but the way the Browns are playing, I don't know about that. Definitely not the Patriots. Depending on what the Ravens look like, it might be the Ravens, but I doubt that. Falcons, I don't think so. It looks like their first win might be against the Dolphins. At that point, they'd be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They'd be 0-12 walking into or going up against the Dolphins. But if they lose against the Dolphins, I don't think they're beating the Jaguars. Your only option is the Saints. Because who knows if the Bills are playing for anything, and the Patriots for sure will be playing for something. So you have a couple of options depending on how the Ravens are playing, depending on how the Bengals are playing. You have about 3, maybe 4 possible wins. Yeah. Shout out to the Carolina Panthers for beating the Jets 13-6. The London game, I feel like we have a London game every week. The London game, we saw history. Matthew Stafford became the first player in NFL history to throw 4 or more passing touchdowns overseas. The LA Rams, beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 35-7. And Matthew Stafford threw for 5 touchdowns. Going crazy. And this is without Puka Nacua. Now, you did have, obviously, Devontae Adams catch 3 of those 5. I mean, it's, And I said this at the preseason or, the preseason predictions. I was like, yo, the NFC West, man, it's pretty much the Rams to win. Now, I know that there's 3 teams, I believe, that's 5-2 right now. There's the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Rams. But out of all of them, I think the Rams are playing the best. Matthew Stafford he's tough. The Rams look good. Defensively, they look really good. They look like a complete team. And, yeah. Now, the Jaguars. Man, it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type situation with Trevor Lawrence, man. 1 minute you're out here beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, then you're losing by damn near 30 to the Rams. And Trevor Lawrence 296 yards. It didn't do much. One touchdown. Now, we'll say, shout out to Travis Hunter. He did get his first NFL touchdown. He 8 receptions for 101 yards. But Brian Thomas, yet again, for another week, had multiple key drops. Travis Etienne, for another week, didn't really do much. Again, this whole team is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, man. When they're on, they're on. When they're off, they lose 35-7. Don't get me wrong. The Rams are a good team, but they're not damn near 30. They shouldn't be damn near 30 points better than the Jacksonville Jaguars at all. So, but hey, that's what happens when you make Trevor Lawrence. And that's another thing. We'll talk about that in a second. But that's what happens when you make Trevor Lawrence one of the highest paid quarterbacks ever. And can only get you 7 points. And honestly, it was garbage time, 7 points, too. Congratulations to the Rams for beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 35-7. I say it damn near every week. I know the Raiders brass is just like, it's just a collective face palm. Just, every week they see Geno Smith play, knowing how much they pay Geno Smith. Just for him to not only get benched in this game, but to put up 0 points against the Kansas City Chiefs, while the Chiefs put up 31. The stat that's going around is, I think the Raiders had 3 first downs the whole game, while the Kansas City Chiefs had 30. The Kansas City Chiefs had more damn near more first downs than the Raiders had plays that they ran. The Kansas City Chiefs had the ball for like 42 minutes, while the Raiders had the ball for less than 18 minutes. Total domination. On top of that, Aston Gentry only had 21 rushing yards and 13 passing yards. So he had a total of 34 yards. And Geno Smith, before getting benched, 10 for 16, 67 yards. Again, when you get paid as much as you get paid to get benched, and when you did get benched, you only had 67 yards. Do you know how bad you got to be to get benched for Kenny Pickett? Again, I know the front office of the Raiders is just throwing punches in the air. Just like, why did we do that? Now, we'll say, Kansas City Chiefs look in rare form. They look, oh my gosh, Patrick Mahomes, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns. They got Rashee Rice back. He had 2 touchdowns. Like, this team, Travis Kelce, 54 yards. This team is in rare form. It's hard, man. As much as it's hard for me to see a team beating this version of the Kansas City Chiefs, man. Because they are explosive. They are fast. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for beating the Raiders 31-0. Let's go back to Thursday Night Football and talk about the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 33-31. a lot of people were calling this the Unk game. No, it is not. It's just the old people game. It's just two old 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks going at it. And I will say this game did not disappoint. Aaron Rodgers, 249 yards, 4 touchdowns. Joe Flacco, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. Here's my thing. I know, and we're going to talk about the Eagles and Vikings a little bit later. I know that there's not a lot of Jamar Chases out there. I know that there's not a lot of T. Higgins out there. But if you have a top receiver, in fact, if you want to go back to the first game or the first topic when I talked about Washington, Dak Prescott damn near force-fed CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Now, it helped that Marshawn Lattimore was on him, but I don't feel like, especially when there's nothing wrong with force-feeding. Joe Flacco force-fed Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had 23 targets against the Steelers. Caught 16 of them for 161 yards. T. Higgins had 10 targets. You force feed your best players 23 targets. If you have someone like a Jamar Chase, if you have someone like a Justin Jefferson, if you have someone like a Puka Nacua, if you have someone like a A.J. Brown, if you have someone like a Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you know you're depleted somewhere else or you're not the best of teams, force feed them. Because those are world-class athletes. That's one thing I never really understood about the Dolphins. Why not force? You're already not that good. Why not force feed Tyreek Hill before he got hurt? The Bengals force fed Jamar Chase and it worked. Joe Flacco Jamar Chase down there somewhere. Huh. Joe Burrow, when he was playing, force-fed Jamar Chase. So if a top 5 quarterback can do it, why can't nobody else do it? And I'm not going to lie, man. Obviously this wasn't a defensive game. They put 33 and 31 points on the board, but Joe Flacco is a lot better than Jake Browning. I will say that. Just force feed him, man. Chase Brown, who's even cooking, 11 carries for 108 yards. That means Chase Brown and Jamar Chase. Oh, no, he had -8 receiving yards. Look, the Bengals won because Joe Flacco had weapons that he could use, what he didn't have in Cleveland, and he just force-fed them. On top of that, you're really seeing just how poorly constructed this Pittsburgh Steelers team is. This offseason, you went out and got DK Metcalf and Jalen Ramsey. Okay. Well, what happens when DK Metcalf is playing well? Who's their other wide receiver since Calvin Austin is out? There's no coincidence that Pat Freiermuth was the leading receiver, and he's a tight end. Jonnu Smith was the 4th leading receiver. He is a tight end. This Pittsburgh team their defense hasn't been great all season. I talked about that. You gave up 33 points. This is the defense that is supposed to be led by Mike Tomlin. It's supposed to be one of those feared defense. They're not. Jalen Ramsey's one guy. Their back end of the defense still sucks. Now, you still have T.J. Watt. He's good. You still Cam Hayward. He's good. But nobody else? No. I think that's why there's still a sliver of hope for the Ravens. Amongst Ravens fans, because you're going against a team that has to rely on Joe Flacco now, a Pittsburgh team that is poorly built, and a team that's starting Dillon Gabriel. So, but congratulations to Cincinnati Bengals for beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Staying in the division. The Cleveland Browns beat the Miami Dolphins 31-6. Now, my mother would always say, Jalen, don't speak about the problem while you are the main part of the problem. That's what my mom would always say. And I'm like, that makes sense. Don't be the vocal microphone about the problem if you are the main cause of the problem. If we want to be completely honest, I kind of think that's why Mike McDaniel is not fired yet. Because I think management is trying to figure out. Now, I will say this. I don't think it's likely that Mike McDaniel will be the head coach of this Miami Dolphins team at the start of next year. I think management is trying to figure out how they can make it that not only Mike McDaniel not be the starting head coach for this team, but Tua Tagovailoa not be on this team to start next year. Again, talked about this with Trevor Lawrence. You made Tua one of the highest paid players in the NFL with no resume to show for it. He had one season where he was the number one passer or passing yards, was putting up crazy numbers. Him and Tyreek were setting records. Tyreek was about to be a 2,000-yard receiver. And then they got to the playoffs and got bounced, I think, game one. So, Tua has – this is yet another game where Tua has 2 or more interceptions. He threw 3. In fact, this is the second game in a row where he has 3 or more. It's not working. Tua is not a good starting quarterback. Stewart is not a starting quarterback. And he can say what he wants to the media. Cool, he's not good. There's no way in heaven or hell that you got outplayed by Dillon Gabriel. Now, to Tua's credit, I will say it was raining and it was poor conditions. Well, that means that you should lean on to the running game, right? Devon Achane had 13 carries for 82 yards, while Kenyon Junkins had 25 carries for 84 yards and 3 touchdowns. So Dillon Gabriel didn't have to do much. Tua didn't have to do much either because he got benched. But in the little that he did, 100 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Was sacked twice. 13 yards. So he technically had 87 yards. I think that's what's saving Mike McDaniel's job week after week for the time being. Management is trying to figure out how can we start the season next year without Mike McDaniel as the coach and Tua as the quarterback. And I don't know who's going to pick Tua up with that contract. So it's looking more and more like Tua is going to be there for the foreseeable future. But it's like your ceiling with Tua is mighty low. Tyreek Hill ain't walking through that door. But even with Tyreek Hill being there, the team's not good. Tua is one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league, if not the worst. I don't know. Forgot about Justin Fields. I mean, at least Bryce Young sort of winning games. Dylan Gabriel sort of winning game. They won game. Now, no, the defense wasn't great. But when you're on the field as much as they are, because your offense gives up 3 interceptions, and every single interception was Tua's fault. I don't know, man. Congratulations to the Browns for beating the Dolphins 31-6. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the Minnesota Vikings 28-22. Jalen Hurts, that's what happens when you throw the ball. 326 yards, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 9 receptions for 183 yards. A.J. Brown, 4 receptions for 121 yards. A.J. Brown averaged 30 yards a catch, while Devontae Smith averaged 20 yards a catch. A.J. had 2 touchdowns. Devontae had 1. See, that's the thing, man. That is why I will give them credit. They find ways to win. And there are times when the team is dominant. Like they were, at least offensively, they were dominant. To only pass the ball 23 times in 19 completions and throw 326 yards, who was number 2? Is that who I think it is? Isaiah Rodgers, brother. Please step to the front. Just as much as the Cowboys was singling out Marshawn Lattimore, I don't think I've ever seen a team so successfully seek out a player and destroy that player as much as the Eagles seeked out Isaiah Rodgers. Most of the big plays came off of Isaiah Rodgers. How many years has Isaiah Rodgers been in the league? Isaiah Rodgers. I'm not saying he's trash, but he was trash on this day. They were having a field day on that man's head, bro. Yeah. Yeah. This Eagles team, if they had a little bit more. Now, I will say that the defense for the Minnesota Vikings wasn't all bad. I mean, they did some good things. They sacked Jalen Hurts 3 times. But they had a chance to win too. But you got Carson Wentz as your quarterback, and Carson Wentz Carson Wentz be throwing the most predictable interceptions ever, bro. It's just you see it coming. Like, oh yeah, he's about to throw. There it goes. There it goes. No, man. Carson Wentz at a point in his career where if he is your starting quarterback, I don't think you have a shot in hell. Let alone winning anything big, but you may not have a shot winning that game because the man threw 313 yards, and you had a good chance of winning, but you threw 2 interceptions. And I believe both those interceptions were in the fourth quarter. That's just what he does, man. It's just. And the Eagles' defense wasn't even that great. Again, he could have won. Goes back to force feeding. There should be no reason why Justin Jefferson only has 10 targets and Jordan Addison only has 12 targets. Now, Jordan Addison did go crazy for 128 yards, but Justin Jefferson, 10 targets? You just heard what? Jamar Chase had 25? Oh, I forgot. And Carson Wentz fumbled the ball, so we had 3 turnovers. Yeah, man. Congratulations to the Eagles for beating the Vikings 28-22. I'm all the way there now, man. I know it took. I know that ain't who I think it is. Is that Benjamin St. Jude? Oh, hell, no wonder why the Chargers defense sucks. They got Benjamin St. Hold on. They got Benjamin St. Juice on this team. Do they also have Emmanuel Forbes? No, wait, that's the. Never mind, no. Emmanuel Forbes plays for the Rams. Of course the defense is going to suck. You have Benjamin St. Juice. But congratulations to the Colts for beating the Chargers 38-24. I'm all in now. I know it said I'm all in. The Colts are like that. Colts are they're a Super Bowl caliber team. Even with Daniel Jones, they're a Super Bowl caliber team. I know that we always give the MVP to a quarterback, and especially after we saw Baker do, we'll talk about that in a second. But I think Jonathan Taylor should be the MVP right now. The man had 94 yards for 3 touchdowns. The Colts are different, bro. The Colts are great. The defense is really good. Their offense is splendid. I should have known, bro. Benjamin St. Juice is on my screen, bro. But yeah, Daniel Jones, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. This Colts team is a Super Bowl caliber team. I don't know if they'll win it. I don't think they will, but this Colts team is different. Now, yes, I understand that. Oh my God, Justin Herbert threw for 420 yards. Damn, all that just to score 24 points is insane. I know that your starting offensive line is pretty much done for. I know that your top receiver or top rushers are out. I know that. I don't know. Keenan Allen did have 119 yards, and Gaddison had 164 yards, but couldn't stop nobody, man. The Colts are a real deal, bro. The Colts, I'm done sleeping on. The Colts is a Super Bowl caliber team. Congratulations for beating the Chargers. Oh, another thing, Chargers. I know you wanted to try something new. I know that just like let's. What's the point? Let's try something new. Let's sprinkle something new. Don't ever bring them jerseys out again. Those jerseys were atrocious. it just looked like a giant pea stain the entire time, mixed with mustard. Don't let that happen again. Y'all have the best jerseys, arguably, in the league, with not only the powder blue but the navy blue with the. And you chose that. I get it. You wanted to try something new. Cool. Just didn't land. It didn't land. Don't pull them Jones out again. All right. Congratulations to the Colts for beating the Chargers 38-24. Who would have thought that the New England Patriots would be amongst one of the best teams in the AFC? The Patriots beat the Tennessee Titans 31-13. Drake May was hooping 21 for 23, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mondre Stevenson, when you're not fumbling the ball, 18 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. This team is all right, man. This team is all right. Granted, you were going against one of the worst teams in football because Tennessee, bro. And with Jeffrey... Is it Jeffrey Simmons? Jeffrey Simmons going out. This team's not that good, man. Cam Ward. Yeah. How are you rushing? Only got 5 carries. How was your... Yeah, this team's not that good. Congratulations to the Patriots for beating the Tennessee Titans 31-20 or 31-13. Oh boy, the Lions beat the Buccaneers 24-9. You got to give it to the Lions, man. They didn't have their entire secondary was pretty much first-time starters because everyone was hurt. The majority of their defense is hurt. Now, I will say that majority of the receivers for the Bucs were hurt. Emeka Buka, he did play, but Mike Evans got hurt. I think he broke his clavicle. Yeah, but the Lions did, man. Jahmyr Gibbs has 17 carries for 136 yards, bro. The way that this has gone this year, especially after game 1, now I know they're both 5-2 right now. Shout out to that. But the way this has gone, I don't see a team, at least in the NFC, that can, when they're rolling, I don't see a team that can beat the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't even have to do that much. And Jahmyr Gibbs had 82 passing yards. Or receiving yards. Man, the Buccaneers are still good. I think Baker Mayfield dropped a little bit in my MVP race because of this game, but he did what he was trying. I mean, he still threw the ball 50 times. Yeah, how do you... Well... because their secondary isn't okay. Yeah, congratulations to the Detroit Lions for beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 24-9. Again, I think both these teams are Super Bowl caliber teams, but I don't know too many teams that can beat the Lions when they're firing on all cylinders. Just saying. Yo, I don't understand this Falcons team, man. The 49ers beat the Falcons 20-10. I don't understand this Falcons team. Let me get the 49ers out the way. Mac Jones, 152. He did all right, even though he had. This game was, Christian McCaffrey had 24 rushes for 129 yards. They literally just said, hey, we ain't got nobody on the and he had 72 receiving yards. Damn near actually over 200 yards. It was like, hey, we don't got nobody else, bro. Just take us home, please. And he took us home. That Christian McCaffrey had a vintage Christian McCaffrey game, which is exactly why they won. Matt Jones ain't have to do nothing, except he did throw an interception. He had to do nothing. It was all Christian McCaffrey. Now back to the Falcons. Bruh. You beat the Bills prime time because you use all the weapons at your disposal, right? And what I don't understand why it's so hard to just repeat that. You're going up against a depleted defense, might I add. Michael Penix, 241 yards. Why is Bijan Robinson only having 14 carries? Why are you targeting Drake London only 10 times? Why is Kyle Pitts only getting 10 targets? You have all these great offensive players, and it's like I don't know when you wanted to be vanilla or not. It just doesn't make sense. Do you not trust Michael Penix? I don't know, because Michael Penix was slicing and dicing the Buffalo Bills. It just doesn't make sense, bro. I don't know. But it's like you have all these cars in the garage, and you're deciding to use the Prius. It just doesn't make sense. If Michael Penix is gonna fail, you already lost the game, bro. If Michael Penix is gonna fail, let him fail. Throwing the ball, bro. He threw the ball only 38 times. Don't make no sense, bro. But congratulations to the 49ers for beating the Falcons 20-10. The other Monday night game, first of all, NFL. Hold the fuck. Why am I watching? Why did I look and see a game start at 10 p.m. on the East Coast, NFL? I know you're doing these 2 Monday Night Football games. Cool. Why not have one start just like you've been doing? Why not have one start at like 7, the other one start at 8 at ABC? Why am I watching a game start at 12? Why am I watching a game in progress at 1:30 in the morning? Make it make sense. I just don't get it, bro. I don't get it. But the Seattle Seahawks beat the Texans 27-19. Yo, shaping up. Like I said if the Rams aren't doing well, it's going to be the Seahawks. They're both tied for number 1 in the division. Actually, I think the Rams might be number 1 because I think they beat the Seahawks. But still, yeah, this Texans offense is unwatchable, bro. Especially with Nico Collins going out, they don't have anybody. Jalen Noel hasn't really done much. They don't have nobody. How does Nick Chubb only have 5 carries? How is C.J. Stroud their leading rusher, bro? Yeah. This team's not that good, bro, especially offensively. It's the fact that they put, 41 up against the Ravens is insane. But shout out Jackson Smith to Jig, but 8 receptions for 123 yards and a touchdown is crazy. Man averaged 15 yards a catch. Yeah. 10 o'clock at night to start a game is insane. But congratulations to the Seahawks for beating the Texans, 27-19. Yo, the Packers beat the Cardinals 27-23, but the Packers have looked nothing like a Super Bowl caliber team. They were about to lose to Jacoby Brissett and the Carolina. This game was won because of Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons had 3 sacks and a 9. If I'm not mistaken, it says 3 sacks and 9 quarterback pressures. Three sacks. Yeah, he was going crazy, bro. But this offense ain't looked nothing like a Super Bowl caliber offense that I thought it would, man. This team hasn't looked like a Super Bowl caliber team. Obviously, there's still time to get together, but, bruh, this Green Bay Packers hasn't looked good at all. They just lost to a backup quarterback. And I'm just saying a backup quarterback, which is true, but I don't even know. I don't even think Kyler Murray would have won that game either. But, yeah, no. They do not look good, the Green Bay Packers. I'm just be real with you. They don't look like the Super Bowl caliber team that I predicted them to be. So, but congratulations to them for beating the Cardinals 27-23. And lastly, an NFL tip, the Bears beat the Saints 26-14. Caleb Williams was horrible. Like, there was no good quarterback in this game, which I think is crazy. Spencer Rattler, he did slightly better, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Caleb Williams, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Both of these quarterbacks suck. This game. Yeah. The only reason why they won is because DeAndre Swift went crazy, 124 yards, and the defense went crazy with 3 interceptions and a fumble. So Spencer Rattler turned the ball over 4 times. That's it. Like this, yeah. Caleb Williams had a bad game. Both. This was just hard to watch. So, but that was week 7 of the NFL. So there's that. Time is flying. Let me first. Time is flying. Again, I'm recording this on Tuesday afternoon / evening, so the NBA season started today. It was we were just celebrating. In fact, we were just celebrating the Oklahoma City Thunder for winning the championship, and now the season's starting. It's insane, bro. And there is a lot of storylines. That's the thing I love about the NBA. One of the things I love, just the amount of storylines that you have. Will the Oklahoma City Thunder repeat? Will the Denver Nuggets get back? They have the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic. Will they win? Obviously, what's going to go with Kevin Durant and the Rockets? Can they get over the hump? The Clippers, you got Giannis. What's he's going to do? Golden State Warriors, the oldest team in the league. Like, the Lakers with LeBron and Luka. There's just so many storylines, man, and I'm excited to watch. I'm excited. I love basketball, bro. Basketball is my favorite sport. I love the NBA, and I'm excited. I'm not really going to give a prediction, but what I will say is fully healthy, I don't know too many teams that can beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think there's a clear-cut top, at least right now to start. There's a clear-cut top 3 in the West. There's the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, and I'm gonna go with the Houston Rockets, even with Fred VanVleet being out. That team is loaded. And in the East, even though it is weaker this year, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, and let me see, and it's tough, that third team, man. I don't know. You could say Orlando. You could say Detroit. Because Hallie's not going to be there, I'm not going to say the Pacers. I don't know. But it's going to be a good season, man. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Woo! It's my favorite time. God, time is flying. Time is flying. It was always interesting to see, like, who starts on a team in the beginning of the year and where they end. Cooper Flagg is a starting point guard for the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know how that's going to go. Victor Wembanyama, is he going to take that leap? People already have him in the top 5. It's going to be. I'm excited. I'm happy basketball is back, like officially back. So, and speaking of officially back, we're in the World Series. And I'm going to make this short and sweet. Shout out to the Brewers and the Mariners for getting all the way to the NL and NDLS or whatever it is. But you have the Toronto Blue Jays going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Drakes going up against the Kendrick Lamars. The fact that beef is still, it's just it's just revolutionary. But I will say this: I don't think the Blue Jays have a shot in hell to beat a fully loaded Dodgers. Like I just don't. The Dodgers are the best team. I think the third most expensive or one of the most expensive payrolls, and they spent it all on their player. Yeah, man. Shohei Ohtani had the greatest game ever against the Brewers. I think he had like a bunch of strikeouts and 3 bomb home runs. Yeah. Not to mention Mookie Betts. Not to mention Freddie Freeman. Yeah, man. I don't think the Blue Jays have a shot in hell to beat the Dodgers. Yet another victory for Kendrick Lamar. There you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I truly, truly appreciate you guys. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as possible. I appreciate you guys. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe if you do like the content. I appreciate you guys. Also, for the DSPs, that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. Please follow, rate, share, all the works. I'm trying to grow the podcast unilaterally, and I cannot do it without you guys' help. So please follow, subscribe, comment, rate the DSPs. For my socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, please follow. I post pretty much daily. That's where you get the reels. That's where you get stories. That's where we can go back and forth. That's probably the quickest way to get to me. Look, you keep it respectful. I don't mind going back and forth. It just means that you care about whatever we're talking about and you're listening to me. Both I appreciate. Please just follow the socials, and yeah, we can go back and forth. I don't mind. Just keep it respectful. Until next time, much love.